Hello everyone, it's Susie here from Esoteric Trading Solutions. I hope you're all well. I hope you're looking after yourself, being kind to your parents, being kind to yourself, being kind to your friends and all your family. Also being kind to animals, your beautiful pretty cats, your beautiful dogs, any animal you've got, and just being kind to people in the world just to make this world a better place. Today I'm doing a market overview and I'll be looking at all markets, cryptocurrencies, foreign exchange, equity markets and commodity markets, and obviously fixed interest markets, which include yields and credit spreads. And we have seen some pretty big moves in January, I have to say, and certainly a very, very large move last Friday night because of the coronavirus, which when I started looking at this, the coronavirus, there was about 2,300 people confirmed in China, and it's every day I look at this, it's getting higher and higher, 17,485 confirmed. That's the link there, and Australia's got 12, and it basically shows you everywhere who's got what in terms of the people that are sick, which is just horrible. Russia's got some, I mean, it's right across the board. It's quite a few countries there. US has got 11. There's been 362 deaths, 522. So certainly the risk markets last Friday night really reacted to these figures badly. We saw a big sell-off in the Dow. We saw bonds being bid, treasury bonds, which is safe haven. We saw the Japanese yen being bought and every other risk currency being sold down, like the Aussie and the New Zealand currency. So we'll go through that as well. So let's just talk about what happened in crypto land for the month. It was a very good month, thank God. And I do think we're in a bull market now for the cryptocurrency market. So let's just go through that, and then we'll talk about some other markets as well. So we look at the cryptocurrency markets in January. Was a very, very good month. I used Mazari. I don't get paid for this or anything. I don't get paid to say it's a great service, but I do use it. I think it's about $40 a month. I don't get any commission from it, but this is what I use. It was a very good month. Bitcoin was up against US dollars 27%. Ethereum was up 41, up against 11.4 against Bitcoin, which means it outperformed Bitcoin. XRP was up 30%, up 2.5% against Bitcoin, which meant it outperformed Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash was up 70%, 34.04. Bitcoin Satoshi Vision was up 168.25, excuse me, and up 110.75 against Bitcoin. Now, there's a reason for that. Craig Wright is saying that he is actually a Satoshi, and people got on the back of this believing that he is Satoshi. And the fellow still hasn't, he's been to the courts and he still hasn't proved it or come up with his private keys for the 8 million or the 9 million Bitcoin. So this is why this performed so well against Bitcoin and against Bitcoin Cash. There seems to be a lot of rumor out there that, Bitcoin Cash was, bought up and then sold down. And as soon as Bitcoin SV got up to Bitcoin Cash's levels, it was then sold down. Now I was actually trading Bitcoin SV, and I did see that actually as soon as it got to near Bitcoin Cash, you saw a wave of selling. So I do sort of think there's been a bit of manipulation in that market for sure. And some of the exchanges are actually delisting Bitcoin Satoshi Vision. So I don't know whether Craig Wright is what he's saying is right or not. Obviously he needs to come up with those private keys in terms of the trust. I have done a video on this and I put it in my Patreon, so people that do look at the YouTubes do miss a lot of the stuff that I actually do for exclusive content. So but I did quite well trading this. US Tether's actually underperformed against Bitcoin. It was down 21%. Litecoin did really well this month. This one surprised me. I wasn't on Litecoin at all. I haven't really been a great lover of Litecoin in the past, but it did surprise me. It was up 65%. It did very well against Bitcoin, 29.53% against Bitcoin. Even EOS, which I believe is a $4 billion scam, did well, 60% up and 26% up against Bitcoin. This thing, I think it's problematic. shouldn't be where it is. It's a platform like anything else. They've had a lot of trouble with their technology, even the administrators. I cannot for the life of me understand why EOS is there at 4.24. It's just typical of this market. It overvalues things that shouldn't be there, and undervalues things like XRP that should be a lot higher. If anything, XRP should be at EOS level, and EOS should be at XRP's level. Seriously, it's beyond me. EOS has had nothing but trouble, and it's been a $4.4 billion 14-month ICO, disaster in some ways. Binance doing very well, 33% up, 4.62. I do like Binance. They're expanding everywhere. Africa, Malta into Malta. They've got an office over there. Very, very good indeed. They know what they're doing, those guys. Obviously, eventually, I believe they will be the biggest exchange. They probably are now, but certainly by client base, 12 million. Client base is everything. Even when you're valuing cryptocurrency assets, client base. If client base doesn't use the coin, or it doesn't generate any revenue or anything else, if there's no utility or doesn't generate the revenue in the coin, then you can kiss it goodbye, okay? And that's as far as I'm concerned, because obviously if there's no usability or there's no revenue coming in, then look at it, clearly. How do people get paid in terms of developers? The developers aren't going to keep the technical system the best of breed if they're not getting paid. You can only do freebies for so long, and then after 3 years or 2 years you want to get paid, which is pretty much the story, okay? Also for Patreon, for my $45 tier, and new ones in my Slack, I did an IPO Ripple video too, and that was really good. And so if you're just looking at my videos, you are missing out on a lot, I have to say. There's people out there not with the abilities that I've got from the experience I've got, and just my background and my education, that sort of thing. So it's up to you guys. Again, my special on Patreon is $45 a month, and that includes all exclusive content, access to Slack. We've got incredible database on Slack, probably 60 to 70 different channels. We look at everything: wallets, malicious attacks. We look at interest rates. We look at important dates. We look at everything. I'll show you later on, but honestly, we look at absolutely everything. And then you get access to my first course in Udemy, cryptocurrency, what's it all about. And also, if you do support me in Patreon on the last tier, which is the $45 one, I will be talking about XRP valuations this week. I have got a full course in Udemy for that, about 84 lectures with spreadsheets, Excel spreadsheets and everything, which is on Udemy for €199. But I will be discussing in my Patreon exclusive content XRP's new valuation and how I got that. And I use it with 2 different valuation models, and I came very close to getting the same figures. So if you want to support me on Patreon, that's fine. It's not going to cost you an arm and a leg. I keep the price purposely low, but the quality of the content you get on that, and this can save you money, seriously, and you can actually make money. So, someone asked me about VeChain nodes, and they expected me to give that information to them for nothing, and they still didn't want to pay me even $10, $15. Well, VeChain nodes, if you know what to do, it's such an opportunity. But anyway, there's a lot of things that people should be looking at, and they just aren't, because they just don't know. And if you don't know, you haven't got that knowledge. It's just that basic. So anyway, enough of me plugging my business and everything else. Ethereum Classic, I was on this as well. I was trading Ethereum Classic, got up to over $12. Very surprised it got up so high. They did do a fork, I think, on the February, or was it earlier than that? They have done a fork, but this thing traded through $12. And I think it's probably it's gone a bit too far. It's up 150%, 96% against Bitcoin. Really did very well. Tezos did well. Tron did well. I like Tron at the moment. Stellar did well. Everything did well. Dash did well. Chainlink. So we're really happy, very happy about obviously where the portfolio is going and everything else. So there was a couple of coins that traded exceptionally well, like Crypto Tor or something, which I don't know anything about. But I only look at the first 100 actually. I don't do spec or anything like that. So it was certainly a good month for cryptocurrency. Absolutely. Also, technically, Cryptocurrency looks very good. If we look at the technicals, it looks extremely good. And I'll just bring those up so that we can have a quick look at the technicals. It does look very good to me. If you look at Bitcoin on the monthly, it's still, if you look at this, Bitcoin on the monthly is still under the, where have we got it? 200-day moving average. Let me just look at the daily, actually. It's probably a bit easier to have a look. I've just changed the way my charts are presenting. I just prefer it this way. So if you look at the daily on Bitcoin, the only thing is I don't like about this trade view is you have to keep changing, the scaling, which really annoys me. If you look at the daily on Bitcoin, we've got a channel breakout buy. It's above the 200-day moving average, which is really, really important. It looks very good to me. Everything's moving up nicely. We've got a parabolic buy. The moving averages are moving up as well. So it does look very good to me. It does have to hold, obviously, around 8922 for the 200-day moving average. I'd be happy if it stays there. If it doesn't stay there, then it might fall away. But just at the moment, looking at the charts technically, it looks pretty good. Certainly on the 4 hour, I'd like to see it a bit higher on the 4 hour, but it has done fairly well. It's still against the 200-day moving average, and it's still in a buy zone as far as I'm concerned. My channel break is still telling me that Bitcoin is a buy right here, right now. If we look at the shorts on Bitcoin, and this is something I always look at because this will certainly dictate where Bitcoin goes, you'll find the shorters in Bitcoin have been increasing their shorts, okay? So if we go back, say, look at the daily, or even, actually probably better to look at the weekly, I think, or the monthly on this. But if we go back to the monthly, you'll be able to see they have been increasing their shorts just of recent times, okay? So we got to, maximum shorts here around 43,000, got to a low down here about 3,000 odd, and now they're actually, come up to about 8,397. So as the market rallies, these guys, the traders or whatnot, are starting to short Bitcoin. Now, clearly, if Bitcoin keeps rallying, those traders that are short Bitcoin on margin or by derivatives are going to have to buy that back, those Bitcoin, okay? So it's always good when you're trading markets to look at the shorts against the main contracts, and that's something I certainly do. So let's go to Ethereum, then we'll look at XRP and Litecoin and a few others. So if we have a look at Ethereum, looks quite good too. It actually went through the 200-day moving average. It looks like it's going back up to 201.72. Moving averages look good. I've got a parabolic buy here, and I've got a channel breakout. So Ethereum looks very good to me. If I take it to the quarterly, which I also look at as well, it still looks very good. It's slightly moving down, but I've still got a channel buy on this, well above the 200-day moving average. So it's showing quite a good story there. So let's just check out the shorts on Litecoin as well. And this is for very much short-term trading, but also I like to look at it just for my investments as well to make sure nothing's going wrong. The shorts are starting to accumulate. So we've got a high of 61,289 shorts, and basically people are getting shorter in Ethereum to sell into that rally, okay? So the low was 45,000, and the high at the moment is around 49,000. So they are getting shorter in Ethereum, which is interesting. So let's put that back to a monthly, so we can have a daily, I should say, so we can have a better look at that. Yes, you can actually see that. So the shorts were right up here. They cut them back. Now that they got shorter, and then they cut them back, and now they're starting to get shorter. All right, so let's quickly have a look at XRP. Got a lot to cover today, so I'm really trying to hurry here. There's heaps to talk about. So XRP is still, which is very annoying, it's still just under this 200-day moving average for the daily, okay? It is starting to look very good to me, though. It's starting to really generate some traction on the moving averages. It's starting to do a bit more volume. I've been given a channel break. This moves, I suspect this is going to move very fast. It just looks like that to me. Not that I'm a bias to XRP. I just feel this has been consolidating for so long, and it's hovering over this, near this 200-day moving average. I just feel they can't keep this this crypto down for too long. That's just my own personal opinion. It's not a buy recommendation, but it just looks like that to me. Okay, so we've got the 4 hours. Again, I've got a channel sell here on here, but it's still above the 200-day moving average at 22 cents. So for me, you know, I don't trade XRP. I hold it in my investment portfolio, so it's one that I don't trade because I'm too wedded to it. But anything else that I'm not wedded to, I would trade. I don't trade things that I just want to hold in my investment portfolio. So let's check out the shorts on XRP. And what we're seeing with most of these, we are actually seeing that the shorts are starting to rise, okay, as the market rallies. And that's what you'd expect, okay? If we go back to the extremes of XRP short and way back here, they're even shorter. At that time, they were short, what's that? What have we got? 34 billion, which is a lot. Wow. They were short 34 billion in October 2019. Then they cut the shorts all the way back to what? 4.7 mil. And now they're starting to raise those shorts ever so slightly. So it'll be interesting to see which way that goes, that's for sure. Let's quickly look at Litecoin. That looked very good this month. Certainly a lot of coins look very good this month. But Litecoin is one I just completely missed. And it really surprised me just how bullish Litecoin was this month. Actually, the daily looked very good. It's gone through the 200-day moving average, got a channel break on that. Moving averages are moving up nicely. Parabolic buy on that looks pretty good, actually, I have to say. Next resistance level is 78.43. If it gets through 71.96. Let's just go to the 4 hours on that as well. Still a break on this channel break. Still well above the 200-day moving average, and it's had a bit of a bull on buying here because it's quite far above the 200-day 4-hour moving average. So might be short-term sell, but I think the bigger picture is this cryptocurrency market rallies going forward. So I'll just quickly have a look at Tron. That's all I want to look at the moment because I've got a lot to get through and I don't want this being too long. So Tron looked very good, I have to say, this month, and it bounced off that 0.013. And if you look at the daily on this, it looks pretty good. You know, it was doing a lot of consolidation around this 0.013. Now we're up to nearly 0.02. I think Tron could really take out the highs. Justin Sun, whether you like it or not, is doing a lot of great things. He monetized BitTorrent. He also now is in competition with YouTube. He's got that PWD guy. He's one of the largest YouTubers, you know, on his platform. And Justin Sun is doing a lot. He's also invested in Polynex, and he's doing a lot of other things as well. So I have to say, I do like Tron very much. I think it's a great story, and I think they've got the evidence on the board. They went to their mainnet last year from Ethereum, and they've done everything they said they were going to do. So again, if we look at the 4 hour, it looks very good. I think Tron looks pretty good, and I think I'd be pretty happy for myself to invest in Tron. I don't know whether Tron has any shorts. I'll just check that out. I don't know. Never looked at the shorts for Tron. Put that in. This is TradingView that I'm using, if anyone wants to know what I'm using here. So it doesn't look like Tron has any shorts. But either way, cryptocurrency market looks pretty good. And there's a lot go on in cryptocurrency markets over the month. There always is, and that's why within Slack we have well over 60 odd channels, because this market is just so much to keep a handle on, okay? In terms of viruses, in terms of, you know, whether it be wallets, whether it be malicious attacks. There was a story about the Tracer having malicious attacks, so be careful with that, please. And computer problems today, very slow. Too much grunt. I'm using too much grunt here. I'll have to close something down. But anyway, so if we also look at the other markets, a lot's going on in exchange markets. Some coins are being delisted. Lots going on in individual cryptocurrencies. So this is all my database, massive amount of database here. over 3 years of collecting information. And, you know, we do trading recommendations, have an investment portfolio, all sorts of things. So lessons and you name it. But anyway, let's go to other markets. And other markets have been very, very interesting. Okay, and particularly the equity market. The equity market, as you know, really sold off big time last Friday night because of this coronavirus, and it's not surprising. The Dow was down like a lot. I was trading that market on Friday night. I couldn't believe it. It was down about 500 points something. I was, you know, the Dow early in the day was at 28,900, and then it got down to 28,263. So equity markets didn't like what they heard with coronavirus. They did so on that Friday night. But notwithstanding that, the equity markets have done very well overall, up 2% roughly for the month. The Dow, mind you, was only 30 stocks in its index, was down 0.6, but certainly the S&P, which has over 500 stocks, was up 0.2, and the tech index was up 2.3%. So when Ripple does an IPO, they'll go into that tech index. Other markets were down anything from 1 to 4%. So the equity market does look a little bit shaky. The Shanghai has come back today, 1.9, and the composite 2.1. But earlier today, I think it was, and yesterday it was down about 10%. So that was a dramatic move down. The Bank of China's put a lot of liquidity in the market. So keep an eye on the Shanghai, Shenzhen, the equity market over there, because that will really start to drive markets if this gets more and more momentum. Okay, so a lot going on there, that's for sure. If we go to fixed income, you'll see that there was a flight to safety, and that's what you do see in markets when the equity market comes down, and it's risk off bets. The equity market's considered risky, so is high yield and corporate debt. And people, when there's markets imploding or blowing up, people go into bond yields, and you'll see bond yields came off quite dramatically over the month. It looks like the Reserve Bank of Australia will be easing rates tomorrow. They always ease on the first Tuesday of every month, and you'll find out that at 2:30. The Australian economy doesn't look very good. Growth is going to be completely reduced because of the bushfires have been terrible and horrible, and so many deaths of animals and people, and it's going to take off 1% of growth to the GDP of Australia. So it would not surprise me tomorrow if the Reserve Bank of Australia eases cash rates by 50 basis points. It would not surprise me. The market has obviously priced in 25. If they do, and it really depends on their statement as well, if they do, essentially that would be bad for the Aussie dollar as well. And the Aussie dollar has been looking very weak. Excuse me, I've been selling the Aussie dollar from 69 cents. It's around 67 at the moment, and I believe the Aussie dollar should be a lot lower than that. It looks pretty weak to me, and I do believe that if they come out with a really dovish or negative statement for growth, and they say they're going to ease more, then that's going to be very bad for the Aussie dollar, which will go down quite quickly against the US dollar. So if you look at all rates here, globally, generally all rates came down, okay, in the month of January, and there was, people were buying more in the short end than the long end, so there was a steepening of the yield curve as well, or putting their money in cash, and you can see it's in literally every country in the world, even Portugal. They bought in the short end, and they sold in the short end. That's interesting. They've got a flattening curve here. This is the other way around. Interesting. So very interesting. Oh, this is the other way around. Sorry, my apologies. This is going 1 year back to, okay, well, there's certainly a flattening of the yield curve. So what I mean by that is 1 year rates only went down by 7.7 basis points, but the 20-year rates went down by 33 or 34 basis points, which means the 30-year rates, 20-year rates actually outperform the 1 year, which means there's been a flattening of the yield curve, not a steepening, okay? Which is very interesting indeed. So that's what we saw in bond markets. If we go to corporate yield, which is risk assets, we would have expected that those risk assets would start to underperform, in other words, sell off, okay? And if we have a look at this, we are seeing that as well. Risk assets are starting to sell off. Now, risk assets like corporate yield will basically have an effect on equity markets, because this is the debt side of the balance sheet, okay? It's just like Ripple, issued 200 mil of debt, and then they do equity on the other side of the balance sheet. So high yield corporate debt is starting to underperform in the last couple of days of the month and the new month. Notwithstanding, during the month, they all performed very well. So, their returns was 4%, which is massive, and 4.4%. But now we're starting to see triple C's underperform, okay? So keep that in mind. Very interesting. So if we look at foreign exchange, and we had a lot go on. There was Brexit, as you know. Also the Aussie dollar with the bushfires. Also there was safe haven buying to get out of any risk assets like the Aussie or the Kiwi dollar. They go into Japanese yen. They can go into Swedish krona, Norwegian krona, and those sort of things. So this is what happens when you've got risk markets basically imploding, okay? So the Aussie dollar has been very weak to the US dollar, and if you come across here, the US dollar has outperformed the Aussie by 4.8%, okay? Against the yen, it's been about the same. The pound has actually outperformed the US dollar by 1.2%. So people like Brexit, okay, clearly by the markets here. If we look, the Canadian dollar, the US outperformed the Canadian dollar by 1.8% and has generally been outperforming, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cough, generally been outperforming every other market because, except the yen, which people tend to buy the yen for safe haven as time goes on. So it's going to be very interesting to see where markets go with this terrible coronavirus. Markets may, jump back from, their lows, but, if this thing gets worse, it's going to look not very good at all. There's a lot of central bank interest rate meetings this week, so they're on the calendar. The US is doing their, also their, a lot of equity companies, corporates are actually giving their profit and loss statements and this sort of thing. So there is a lot going on that can certainly affect markets. And don't forget, all markets are joined by cash, okay? So what happens with one market does affect another market, that's for sure. So I think we're going to continue to see volatility. In my mind, there's no way around it, unfortunately. And there's a lot of stuff coming out in terms of economic stuff as well. So I hope this helps, guys. If you've got any questions, please do come back to me. Safe trading, safe investment, and let's hope we have another good month in cryptocurrency markets. Thank you very much for listening. Susie.